And we're back with this week's neural sim, and we're starting off with the Chenxing team. This is because this is her boss. And with my current investment, I only need around 3 to 4 stacks, before I need to ult against this boss. Just make sure you're on the wooden tile during the inversion samsara, and immediately go to the black brick tile on the inversion nirvana, or else your damage will be lower. And if you swap up Aquila with Vidya, then that will be a second slower because we have to recast Vidya's support skill, or at least mine is a second slower. Now I just tried the Longyan team, and I would say that it's a whole lot of RNG, and I mean a very whole lot, So basically we shoot first and then we use skill after the boss dash. Then it's better if you're able to use your charge shot, the one from the basic attack, after the boss goes out of invulnerable phase. Like the one I did back there before I used Vidya's support skill again. Now the hardest part is probably keeping Tess support skill up, until the Nirvana form with the shield. And you know what? It seems like Vidya is kinda better against this boss with Longyan. And you know what? I think it's not bad, considering the boss this week has a thermal resistance, not to mention Longyan's M0. Now this is Longyan but with Marian Aquila. Now against this boss, I really do think that Marian's slightly weaker. Now especially this part after the invulnerability phase. Just look at the damage. We did not have enough. So yeah. But the thing here is that it's quite inconsistent. But this is the current fastest because Tess support skill RNG is very RNG. And this sort of charge attack also takes some getting used to. This was actually one of my earlier runs, so I really do think it can still be improved. But again, it's just too RNG.
This is starting to get fun.
And here's the Katya team because, why not? You just need to recast Vidya's support skill later on.
My arms are a little sore. Will you give him a rub, darling?
Whoops, my bad.
Claim the high ground and the victory. Too easy.
And again, this is just for fun. The all support team with Tess, Phantasia as TPS. Now it could be a coincidence, but I feel like my damage felt a bit higher when I ult with Vidya.
Let's see what's left.
Yeah, I do think it's a coincidence, but I think it is better to ult with Vidya, at least on this form. Because it's not really possible to just, defeat it as fast with this team. So Vidya ult does help, to reduce the HP later on.
Do keep going, darling. Disappear in the dark night. Unfortunately, your defense
I do think the time difference is a bit longer, but I guess it's not too bad. You know, it's still less than a minute.
Let's take a break together. Let's make this
And here's a Pureheart
right,
team.
darling?
I did just, you know,
Take
add it
this.
as an addition. Now with what I have, needing the 3 combo really takes, you know, a bit of time. But I guess at the very least I can 1-ult the HP part. Although I did hit it 1 skill. I think the hard part is the positioning, because even though we're like flying, the we can still be damaged by the ground, you know, the thing in the ground. I think I could be very slightly faster if I can ult right away, you know, unless, you know, my ult damage wasn't enough.
Even when
Now
I
after
can't,
Pureheart,
I
I
won't
just
try.
decided to add a bit few more.
Don't slow me down.
Let's see what's
Now I
next.
do think Marian Aquila's extra damage helped a little more than, you know, Vija's, you know, debuffs.
Don't slow me down, okay? Don't slow me down, okay?
Do keep
I
going,
then
darling.
deactivate Fenny Coronet skill and then
Already
switch
realized
back,
your first pick.
you know, to reactivate her support skill.
Not to
Don't slow me
Then it's just better to reactivate her skill so that, you know, the attack speed is way faster
Don't slow me down.
than, you know, switching back and then, you know, her skill will be very low already. You know, I'm just shooting so that her skill won't go too low.
Don't slow me down, okay?
Not a single one will slip past me.
Don't slow me down. You weren't the first to fall to me. Won't be the last either.
Now this seems to be far slower than I thought, right? Slower than the Tess support team, which is right, I think 5 seconds faster.
Games,
And here's Acacia Chrono Echo.
yeah. Run.
And with Chrono Echo, I think it's slightly faster with Vija for some reason against this boss. You know, than the her original support, which is Marian Aquila. Maybe I just need a bit more investment on Aquila. And if you have forgotten Acacia's combo, then in her standard form, you know, we just need to max stack. Then we press the ult.
Transphase core.
Then on her ult form, we just do like 3 basic attack and, you know, make sure that it hits the enemy. Then we press the skill. Now if we're successfully able to do that twice in a row, we are able to press and hold the skill. And perfect time, this is the skill hold. And now it's up to the player's investment whether you're able to like ult early or, you know, you need to max stacks this.
Don't forget to
Although
save.
against this boss, we kinda don't have a choice anyway since invulnerability takes time. So it's a second faster than Pureheart, although this boss has a thermal rest, so yeah. And here's only the result of Aquila since the run is pretty much similar anyway. And we have Lyfe Infinite Sight. I think I haven't used her in a boss fight in a while. And yes, I'm using Aquila since it's just have a better run than Celestial's one. So yeah, it's kinda inconsistent on who's the better support, right? Though I guess it really just depends on the unit. Now the way I see it, I think,
Allow me.
you know, most of the units that uses Aquila kinda needs Aquila's damage, you know, of field damage. Versus the unit that needs, you know, Celestial's one that, you know, needs the debuff way more.
Allow me. Valhalla awaits.
Don't slow me down, okay?
I'm happy that you're waiting for me at the end of this cold path.
You know, pretty much the same rotation but with
In this moment,
Vidya.
the
And the
ice in my
difference
heart
is a
completely
bit
melts.
huge here.
Now
Now I think this is the only run for this boss for the week, the Katya team, because Aquila is on the other boss with Chenxing team. And again, this is just far easier if you really don't want to mold. But there are times that this boss can interrupt Katya, like it kinda knows how to time it perfectly when her skill would end.
Won't slow me down.
At least from time to time. Now I wouldn't mind getting interrupted, but only if the attack sequence are fixed. But it's not, it's RNG, so I think it's just better to restart the run than, considering dodging. Not unless your intention is to really just finish the boss, then whatever you do is pretty much acceptable. I think it's a second slower than last week, but could be due to the neural buff for the week. And speaking of neural buff for the week, yeah, it's crit damage for this week, so yeah. And we have thermal resistance again for this boss for this week. So I think Longyan did pretty decent. And you shouldn't dodge, if you're using skill damage. And here's the build use. I'll just start from the very top of the list. Acacia Chrono Echo, which is attack alignment. She only has tier 1 and M1. Close to M2 though. And Lyfe Infinite Sight, which has a tier 2 gun. She's like the first year anniversary unit. Double attack alignment and 1 attack skill haste for her skill. Okay, she's M3. Mariana Killa. We have tier 1. And whatever we get from the free logistics, which is attack alignment. And M1. And Fenny Pureheart, we have tier 1. Attack alignment. Okay, the third one isn't too great yet. And M3. Fenny Starshine, tier 1. And whatever the free logistics we get, it's attack alignment. And we have Coronet, tier 1. Attack crit damage with Amano Iwata. Very rare to use it these days. M2, close to M3 though. And we have Free Fin here, tier 1. And whatever free logistics we get, which is max HP alignment. And M2. We have Chenxing Jade Arc, tier 2. And attack crit damage. Can still be improved, I guess. Although it's hard to improve it that way. And it's M4 already. We have Katya Rhapsody, tier 1. And attack alignment. M3. We have Tess Phantasia, tier 2, because I just like using her on the field. Attack alignment, which is the free ones that we get. And we have Celestial Swan, Vidya, tier 1. Attack alignment with her signature gun. Not sure why I'm used to saying signature support for some reason. And here's Longyan, tier 2. And I still need one more attack crit damage to test out the difference between crit damage and alignment. And that's about it.